Geospatial intelligence, AI, and ubiquitous connectivity are driving a lot of innovation here and unlocking a lot of new applications in geospatial intelligence. There was $1 billion in funding in 2020 into geospatial. There's now $22 billion, right? It is ramping up, and we think we're just getting started here. There's a ton of opportunity. Google made a huge announcement this quarter. Would love to just dive into this and talk about GeoAI and why it's important.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of context necessary to get to that GeoAI layer and why it's valuable. I think it starts with the ChatGPT-3 and the training of it and that language-based model.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
It's called ChatGPT.
So that original model that changed our lives was built on 45 terabytes of text-based data, right? Today, we download 2 petabytes of satellite imagery every day. Our cameras upload 2,000 petabytes to the cloud every day. The density of this information is significantly greater. And so you've seen an evolution of these models from text-based to multimodal. And these multimodal models still have trouble understanding the physical world and navigating the physical world. That's where you're starting to see some significant investment from NVIDIA, from Meta, from Google and DeepMind and the research that they're doing, particularly focusing on like how to navigate that physical world. And the GeoAI layer, I think, is more playing into like understanding that physical world. So satellite imagery, broad swath, the ability to see some of these complex systems and derive association and understand these spatial relationships. And that's where you have NASA and the IBM model that was originally released, I think 3 years ago now. You have Clay and their open source model, Alpha Earth, which Google recently announced. And so you have these two sort of streams that are helping develop that understanding of the physical world. And so I think that is like translating into a really interesting opportunity. So just from a satellite perspective and that GeoAI perspective, there's a lot happening. When we look back at the history of some of these geospatial companies and where they face challenges, one of the common complaints or sort of ahas is that the scaling is quite challenging. It looks more like a consulting model. And that has actually had a lot to do with like the technology and how we train the models. They don't associate from one location or one use case generally across the globe to other use cases. The approach of using these geotransformers and creating embeddings is showing that you can now derive directly relevant information across location and use case. And so this paradigm of diseconomies of scale to economies of scale is likely going to underpin significant growth and significant opportunity for applications to be built. And so I think that's powering some of it. The other opportunity is like as AI moves into the physical world, you're going to need to have intelligence on how you navigate and understand what's around you. So autonomous robotic systems, whether it be humanoid robots or aerial vehicles or underwater submersibles, they're all going to need to understand those two sort of foundational capabilities. And so we've included a number of companies that sort of fit into that model, which includes World Labs, Physical Intelligence, Figure AI, Legend, and Globeholder, and Zephyr. They're a little bit more on sort of the geo side. So those are companies to be watching, and you'll see some of those numbers show up in the report and account for some of the big growth that we're seeing.